I've worked with dozens of nonfiction authors over the last year to help them market their books and also bring in like more business opportunities from that. And it's something that I haven't exactly talked about yet on YouTube because honestly, the rules they don't really change no matter what the niche is. But I wanted to create this limited series going over like what I've seen and also some tips that I give specifically to nonfiction authors that I think is like especially important. And so what I've been able to do with these authors, I've been able to help them sell my books, get consulting gigs, get paid speaking gigs. And what I've seen is that YouTube and book authorships are actually like a perfect match. And so this first video, we're gonna go over why. So the number one reason is evergreen content. So honestly, when I meet most authors, they kind of treat their marketing like a kind of like a temporary campaign. So they launch it. I don't know, they might get like 50 to 70 sales, and then that's about it. I don't think they really do much marketing after that. But from what I've seen, it's like their writing is it's kind of like legacy work. And so I think there's like a big mismatch there in terms of like what the work actually is and like how they're promoting it. And so a book, especially nonfiction books, it's a long-term evergreen asset. So basically you write it once and it exists forever. You can sell it forever. Same thing with YouTube. You post a YouTube video and it works for you for weeks, months, and years after you posted it. Unlike LinkedIn, Instagram, or TikTok, where your content lasts no longer than like 48 hours. A YouTube video and your book they're both like permanent digital workers. So when you invest your time into a YouTube channel with your book, it's going to be able to pay out for you. And so I think, again, when authors first publish, their immediate reaction is to often go to like short form platforms like TikTok or LinkedIn. And honestly, that's fine. I think this is just like what I've seen is YouTube, even though we say there's a lot of people on YouTube and like we think there's a lot of competition on YouTube, a lot of people still don't know how YouTube works. A lot of people still think YouTube is sort of like this big thing and it's easier to start on other platforms when it's just not true. But if you think about like the psychology of the users on the short form apps like TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, their attention span is fried. It's just like no way to get around it. And now I'm not saying that you can't make sales on those platforms, but a book specifically, it's a long form project. You're asking a human being to sit down and spend 4 to 8 hours of their time listening or literally reading your book. It's hard to get some. And me, I'm personally like I'm an audiobook listener. I try to sit down and read books, but I want to say my attention span is like slightly fried too. But I can listen. And so the point is that the short form platforms, they simply don't have the attention span to support the kind of ask that you're asking of people when you write a book. And this is where YouTube comes in. So YouTube is like one of the only platforms, minus like blogs and stuff like that, those other type of platforms, where the audience is kind of already primed for long form consumption. So if they can sit down and they can sit through a 15 to 45, however long you're talking, minute video of you explaining things, they are 1,000 more times likely to spend those 4 to 8 hours reading your book. And so the second thing is sort of like the authority positioning. So most authors that I've met, they have like this thing in common, and most of them, they actually really do hate being on social media. I don't think I've met one author who enjoys it, and maybe it's just the age range of the people that I talk to, but they don't really want to be chasing trends online. They don't want to honestly, I heard one person say, they're like, I'm tired of arguing with people on LinkedIn. Like, they just kind of want to be respected. They want to be recognized as an authority. And yeah, they just want to be like, kind of like known as sort of like the best person in their field. And they want to kind of like integrate onto sort of like the digital world. But specifically for the ones that I work with, they don't really know how. So again, pairing the books with YouTube is a really good idea. Third reason is your book is your content. So I know one of the biggest hurdles that most people have when getting on YouTube is the first question that they ask is like, what do I talk about? Well, for authors, you don't have that problem, because when you write a book, you already have done the hardest part. You've done the research, you've written the content, you've written a whole book on it, you've done the research and the structure. And so your book is a content bank of at least 50 to 100 like video scripts, in my opinion. So like for examples on like how this can play out. So a chapter can become a how-to video, a case study can become a storytelling video, your controversial opinions and what you're saying in the book, that becomes like how you stand out online. So you aren't creating new content, you're literally simply repackaging what you've already done, which is honestly the fun part. And then there is number 4, and I think this is kind of like a cautionary, but like I think one of the most dangerous things that you can do is, as an author, is you can spend like years writing a book that nobody wants. So maybe you're like, you have this great idea and you write it, you put it out there, and it's just packaged the wrong way. But what YouTube allows you to do is it allows you to test in public. So by posting videos about your book, sort of like core concepts, while you are still writing, you're going to get some feedback. And so again, what I've seen is most authors wait until the book comes out before they start to build their personal brand. But you should really be building it while writing, even if it's just one video a week. I remember when I started on YouTube, I don't even think I had a specific offer. I just had services. And literally as time went on, I created I created offers based on what I saw in the comments, based on what I was hearing, based on people was asking me. And so writing the book, it kind of proves that you have this depth and this deep knowledge. And then YouTube gives you sort of like the reach for those ideas. So when you combine them, you stop being sort of just like another person with a book, and you start being like an actual like authority. And then I've mentioned this in a few other of my videos, but like with AI and with people just finding it harder to trust people online, one thing that I always tell my authors to do is put their books in their banner. So it's just not like, hey, like I'm just not another person on YouTube. I actually wrote a book on this topic. And so, yeah, so I mean, if you're interested in this sort of like YouTube book combo, I'm going to be giving you some of my best tips coming up in the next few videos. So thank you for watching, and I am going to see you in the next one.